It's Mallow.
Perfect. In my last video, I did 30 through 16 of my top albums of the year. I said something about Kendrick Lamar's album, some other things in the beginning that kind of set up how I think about these top lists, so definitely check that one out. At number 15 is a stunning singer-songwriter album, Have You in My Wilderness by Julia Holter. This one's just got some haunting and metaphorical lyrics. It's intimate, modern, and profound, and it sounds a lot like Nico, especially on the song How Long. All the organic instrumentation, including some great double bass, sets up Holter's just angelic tone. Really glad to have discovered her this year. Some of my favorite songs besides the fantastic How Long are Sea Calls Me Home and Betsy on the Roof. It's number 14. I really just couldn't decide between the two albums by these guys this year. I think it's probably their best year of their career. They've had 7 albums in 4 years, and they already have another elaborate concept album prepped for 2016, so they're definitely among the most prolific bands out there. It's King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. I did a review of Paper Mache Dream Balloon, but the vinyl I have is of Quarters, which came out earlier in the year. This has some fantastic jazz on it. I show off a lot of vinyl on Instagram, so you can check it out there, but I'll show you quick. This really cool packaging. It's not only a gatefold, but it's actually just a poster of the album cover and the Quarters. Pretty sweet. Like always, I'll link my Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter down in the description box. And like I said, with Quarters, there's a lot of jazz. A song like The River is a highlight from that. And then with Paper Mache Dream Balloon, it's completely different. More concise, shorter songs, more accessible probably, a little poppier. So 2 really dynamic releases from this band, and I'm super excited about what they do next. From a band with a pretty fervent, small following of fans to pretty much unknown band at this point, it's my first metal album in this top 15. It's Innate by Mammoth. The arpeggiated riffing style is a lot like Dream Theater, and then it's just got this detailed and really intricate production with some nifty panning tricks, and overall just tremendous amount of clarity. It's really good with headphones. My top songs are the jazz fusion opener Innate and Dispositional, which is more of an atmospheric metal. At number 12 is the best 90s rock album of 2015, and also I think the most visually pleasing album cover. It's All Is Illusory by the Velveteen. Really cool gatefold here, this minimalistic gray and black neutral style. It's got a gray-black splatter as well on the vinyl. At number 11, it's another collage album cover and another great release from one of my favorite labels, Top Shelf Records. This is Nye Harvest with Hairball. And this is really the perfect summer festival album. It's this euphoric punk rock played almost exclusively in one key. With this being played in just one key, some of the vocal melodies are really similar. There's a lot of root note singing. But a lot of great hooks. Overall, just this buzzing, frenetic energy that's really addictive. Just kind of a running off the tracks pace. My favorite songs are All the Time and Melanie. At number 10 is an album that seemingly single-handedly has reignited the relevance of jazz. It's probably the most ambitious album I've heard this year. I did an unboxing video of the vinyl about 2 months ago. Kamasi. Although this 3-hour-long album, The Epic, isn't totally unique within the jazz world, I mean, this sounds a lot like a Pharoah Sanders record. It seems to have captured the attention of the alternative music scene, and for that, it's really good for jazz. At number 9, it's a Swedish psychedelic rock band led by Gustav Estes, who's just a master of composition. It's Dungen with Allas Sak. I don't think this is an album that's going to necessarily win over the masses like a Tame Impala. It doesn't have that level of pop appeal, but I think it's a more technical and intelligent version of that. And knowing Duncan's history over the past 10 years, it's kind of a pastiche of world music sounds that they've put together in their past albums, and all combined on this one. And despite the songs not being too drawn out or too lengthy, they haven't completely abandoned or betrayed their traditional fuzzy rock jams. This cover is a perfect representation of sort of the just brilliant harmonic moments on this album. At number 8 is just an awesome find from this year. It's probably a band that no one has heard of, at least compared to the other bands I've put on this list. It's my favorite metal album of the year, 13 8-Bit by the band Third Ion. This band just has this hilarious, really cheap and nerdy aesthetic. This cover art is just terrible. It's a truly alternative release, but the band has this really full, mature, robust prog metal sound. A lot of times when you like something that no one else seems to be aware of, you second guess yourself, but I'm sticking with my gut on this one. I think the writing and ideas are just awesome. It's really cool to hear such young guys play at what seems to be kind of their peak for their love of music. They seem to be just riding on pure passion. And with family-friendly song titles such as Capital Spill or Particle Displacement Mechanism, you're in for a treat. My only critique for this album, and I'm sure it's something that's going to improve as the band matures, is the production, especially the typewriter-sounding bass drum. If they had more organic drum sounds, I think that'd be a lot better for this group. At number 7 is The Bride of comedian Andy Samberg and the most famous harpist in the world. It's Divers by Joanna Newsom. I don't really have a lot to say with this one. Joanna Newsom is just a genius, and I feel lucky to even witness her at the peak of her artistry. I guarantee she's going to make you feel just completely inferior as a musician and writer if you listen to her stuff. Top songs are Leaving the City, The Things I Say, and Time as a Symptom. At number 6, it's a math rock album getting into the top 10. It's CHON, which I think stands for Carbon, Hydrogen, Oxygen, Nitrogen, with Grow. A lot of math rock and other instrumental technical rock seems to blend together a little bit for me as I just kind of lose track of what's going on in the complexity. But each song on this album just has a completely unique melodic identity, and that's something that I really love about it. In the midst of a lot of shredding and everyone just going hard on their instruments, they managed to achieve this really easygoing, laid-back sound. And that's a unique trait, I think. I saw these guys from 2 feet away live, and they just blew my mind. Probably the best drummer that I've seen live ever. There is some singing on this album, and I think it goes over pretty well. It's really minimalistic, but the bassist and the singer just got either kicked out of the band or he left the band. I'm not really sure what happened there, but I think in the bass area there could be improvements. The bass tends to take a back seat on a lot of these songs. It does keep a good groove, but I'm excited to see how a new bassist fits into their next albums. My top songs for this one are Story, Perfect Pillow, and Echo. I have to show the vinyl for this. Really cool marble green. And then along with that, they put some art in here. More of those painted leaves. I don't know if you can see that well. And then a little booklet even with some more of those pictures. So really cool packaging here. Alright, here we are, top 5, and somehow The Epic was not my favorite jazz album of the year, but this is. It's Sylva by Snarky Puppy. I made a vinyl must-have video for this not too long ago, a couple months probably, so check that out for some more thoughts and some justification as to why this is in my top 5. But overall, this band just continues to do it with another fantastic release. I think this was recorded live as well as their past stuff, so that just makes it even more impressive. Amazing keyboard, piano solos on this thing. Just a whole lot of groove, and Snarky Puppy. If you don't know about him, you gotta know about him. Alright, with these top 4, I reviewed every one of these, so I'm not going to go into too much depth, but I'll try to summarize. With number 4, it's probably my favorite genre of music. It's Act 4, Rebirth and Reprise by the Deer Hunter. This is progressive, indie rock, really well produced, but I think the song quality is definitely worthy of that polish. At number 3 is my favorite album art of the year by far. Geez, I love this thing. It's Hand Cannot Erase by Steven Wilson. Wilson's music is the perfect blend of intensity and melancholy. Some would say it's almost too austere in a bad way, but it's always really worked for me. I love Porcupine Tree, and I think that his solo releases are probably his best work, which is saying something for how many albums he's put out. I did a really long review for this one, so a lot of thoughts in there, but this album overall just hits home for me, the concept, especially with his sister living in New York, where, you know, even though many people are surrounded by, you know, hordes of other people, a lot of them are just really tragically alone. I'll show you this and the gatefold for this. It's also got an awesome booklet inside with some more pictures and other little tidbits of knowledge and visual information to kind of fill out the whole concept and story of this girl that he created. It's really hard to separate and distinguish between these top albums, but this one, I listened to it probably more than any other album this year. Just had this replay quality. And it's a band that really came out of the fold with this album because I knew them before this, but now everyone knows them. Well, not everyone, but here it is. Multi-love. They say multi-love in the song, but Unknown Mortal Orchestra. The craziest thing about this album is, as accessible as it is, it's equally complex. I'm still just baffled by the chordal and melodic structures here. I saw a video where Ruben Nielsen explained the chords on Like Acid Rain, and I don't know where he comes up with this stuff. So it's still really easy to listen to, but there's a lot to dig into if you try. And I think my wife likes this a lot. You like this a lot, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
So, that's a plus. Yeah.
Yeah. Steamboat.
Number 1.
Number 1!
As far as emotional impact goes, I don't think anything has come close to this album in years for me. It's Subaru Stevens with Carrie and Lowell.
Carrie, Lowell.
Sometimes I give up on soft acoustic music a little bit just because so much of what I hear is really just right in the cliche and isn't inventing or innovating at all. But this is perfection. If you haven't heard this yet, you're definitely in for an experience. I remember exactly where I was when I first heard this and collected all my tears in this water bottle. I think my wife describes this best. She said it's a tragic nostalgia, and I think that's perfect. It's also one of the first albums I've ever heard to really celebrate fatherhood, and specifically in this case, what his stepfather did for their family and for Sufjan at a young age, and in this really difficult time with his mother who was mentally ill. Yeah, this picture on the back. So it shows what I'm guessing is Carrie, and then you can see just in the reflection on the mirror here, Lowell in the background, and him being in this picture here really makes it seem more of an organic and real experience and moment instead of this superposed and contrived picture. There are just so many layers of emotional and lyrical depth on this thing that every time I come back to it, it's just I discover something new. And if I read the lyrics while I'm listening to it, it's kind of an overwhelming experience. All right, that's it for my list of top albums for 2015. Again, in the description box below, I listed my top 50, so definitely look at those. Please like this video. Subscribe to my channel and comment on some of your favorite albums if you disagree with me, if you agree with me, and what you loved about the albums that I listed here. Also, if you could give me some ideas for albums this year that I can review just in these first couple months, definitely let me know. Thank you so much for watching.